Good morning. It is February 10th, 2022, and we are going to talk about Papercraft essentials. I have not done any Papercraft for about a year. And if you remember last year, we were learning how to do different techniques, and it was kind of hit and miss. Some were successful and some weren't. Well, in the last 6 weeks or so, I have been just practicing ripping pages, practicing creating layouts, practicing master boards, and so on. Kind of edited my supply list, and I've kind of honed in my skills, and I want to share some of that with you today. So it probably goes without saying that if you want to do papercraft, and in this case some kind of junk journals or planners or scrapbooks or things of that nature, you need paper. So where do you source free or inexpensive paper to do these kinds of projects? Old books, for sure. I know those of us who are readers, we cringe at the idea of ripping up any book, but dime store novels are not meant to be kept in dusty old libraries as classics. So by all means, pick up the dime store novels and rip to your heart's content. Printer paper, you will need to buy printer paper if you intend to use digital prints, or you see some of the techniques that I use and find them useful. You can incorporate old photos if you choose, and you will need some chipboard, otherwise known as cereal boxes and graham cracker boxes and other kinds of packaging. We're going to skip tools and jump down to glue for a minute, because you have to have some kind of adhesive. You could make old-fashioned flour paste if you choose, and if anybody is interested, leave me a comment down below. I'll create an episode with the recipe. In the meantime, what you see is silicone-based glue. You can either use Fabri-Tac, which comes with those tiny little caps, and every time I have tried to order from the company on Amazon with a picture of a nice big cap, I've always ended up with these little tiny caps, and they split, so they don't keep your glue dry. This time I finally gave up and ordered 3-in-1, which is from the same company. It's from Beacon Company, and I got a nice big cap. Unfortunately, even though it was packed in a plastic bag, it leaked. So, knowing that the plastic of the bottle is kind of stiff, and when your glue starts to thicken about halfway down, it becomes very hard, or at least for me, it becomes hard to get the glue out, I gave up and ordered a Sugar Bell icing bottle. It comes just as you see it, works like a charm. No more thick glue, no more split caps, and no more wasted glue, because this Beacon glue is pretty expensive. For an 8-ounce bottle, which is what you see, you're going to pay minimum, you're going to pay $9.99. My bottle that I bought was $12.99. I've seen them all the way up to $21 for 8 ounces. Some of you out there are saying, holy moly, there's no way I'm paying $12 for a bottle of glue. I get it. You're also asking me, isn't there anything cheaper? Yes, there is. But cheaper alternatives aren't always the right glue for the job. For example, the bottle on the far left is a ginormous bottle, or was, of clear water-soluble glue. It's comparable to the regular school-size bottle, which you see next, but it has the advantage of being clear. White glue, or PVA glue, dries clear, but it's milky white, and for some DIY applications, like homemade gesso, you want clear glue from the start. So you could buy a ginormous bottle and it will last you a very long time. You can put it in a smaller container, like I have in the center, and only refill it when it gets to be too low. The advantage of a smaller container is that they're generally made of more squishy plastic and they have a finer tip. And you will learn very quickly when you're gluing edges that a fine tip is, or even a needle tip, is a godsend. Well, what about Mod Podge? Well, Mod Podge is a great product. They come in, I think, 27 now, different formulations for different applications. But Mod Podge dries shiny. I happen to prefer a matte finish or a low sheen finish, and even Mod Podge matte has an acrylic-like sheen to it, and I just don't like it. If I want something with a little bit of shine, then I'll use Mod Podge, but for the most part, I don't use it. Well, what about tape runners? That blue box on the far right is a box of tape runners that I bought a year ago, and I don't use tape runners. I found out that tape runners as a temporary adhesive will eventually stain your paper. I don't have an example of it, but I've seen it on other people's videos where they've said, yeah, don't use tape runners, they will deteriorate. The possible exception would be card makers. Now, if you're making cards with the idea that the person is not going to keep the card, they're going to throw it away eventually, then maybe tape runners are good enough. Well, what about glue sticks? Again, glue sticks I have mixed feelings about. They don't hold your paper over time. And that would go for paper to fabric as well. I will show you at some point. I have a master board that's not finished that I used glue stick on, and the adhesive has separated and the papers have separated. Now, I'm a big advocate of double gluing, and for that I use glue stick and wet glue, and I use it for specific applications which we'll demonstrate in a future project. Now let's talk about tools. And what you see in front of you are a couple of projects that I've made over time as well. The very first thing you see on the lower left, that turquoise, looks like a brush, but it's not technically. It's a spatula. It's a soft silicone spatula, and that's where we overlap from glue to tools. That spatula is a makeup applicator, I guess. And I got 5 in a pack for probably $6 or $7 off of Amazon. They're going to last me forever, and for wet glue where I want a flat surface with as few or no bubbles and wrinkles, this tool does the job for me. And I use it in the combined glue stick and wet glue method that I just mentioned. Next, you're going to need some kind of craft knife. Mine just happens to be one of those knives that has replaceable blades. But you could use a snap blade craft knife, cost you maybe $1 or $2. You'll need a pair of good scissors. You don't have to have the best scissors, but these scissors should be sharpenable. You should be able to sharpen them, whatever the word is. Because paper and cardboard dull your scissors very, very quickly. The next thing that you can't see very well is the ruler, and it is a metal ruler. It does not have cork on the back. It has inches on one side and centimeters and millimeters on the other side. I prefer that ruler over a cork ruler. Other people swear by cork rulers and say they keep them from slipping. I don't have a problem with them slipping. And finally, if you have a pair of detail scissors, very small, sharp scissors, those would be useful as well. So the goal of these next couple of projects is just practice. You're going to make things for yourself, not for anybody else, so that you get comfortable with your tools and your materials, how they work together, how sometimes they don't work together. The next project is this accordion fold book. It's put together flat, It's very easy. You'll get to practice gluing down smoothly and aligning your different parts so they all work together. And as I said, this is for you. You could use some masking tape also if you have some available. Screenshot that list for the next show. I'll be posting these DIY shows on Sunday mornings at around 9 or 10 a.m. We'll see how it shakes out. Thanks for joining me so much. I appreciate you stopping by. God bless. I'll see you real soon.